So hello everyone. My name is Elena Obukhova. I'm founder and CEO of FS and also co-founder of two more projects, Make Event and CryptoTP. At FS, as Ekaterina already mentioned, we're bridging the gap between startups and investors, helping projects with their journey. And product market fit is one of the crucial aspects of the project development. And being a founder myself, I also understand how challenging it can be. Thus, I'm glad to share more insights on this topic. Let me just start the presentation. So today we're going to learn how and why you should validate your project. And I would like to ask, so why is market validation so important? And let me share some simple equation. Right product plus right market. What can it be? It's actually an opportunity. Yes, it's opportunity. It's not project success, because project success will include more variables such as team and timing. And going back to the right product and right market, I would like to say that there are a few things that can happen to the project if they didn't do a right market validation. And the first scenario would be wrong product on the right market. When you come to the market, you wanted to go at the first place with the solutions that they don't actually need. And even it might seem that you're solving the problem on this particular market and people would like this product, but this bug can be a price of the product, the name, their UX, or might be like their project in general. So it's very important to understand what is wrong with your product, or maybe this market is not the best fit. And the next will be the right product at the wrong market. You might have a perfect product that you're trying to sell, but you're selling it to wrong people. You need to clearly understand your target audience before you're going to the market with your solution. And the worst would be going with the wrong product to the wrong market. And this can happen when you're selling your wrong product at the market where you don't have any expertise. And this will be very harmful because you will not be able to collect any feedback. So you will not even know what's wrong with your product. So that can lead to the failure. All three scenarios are quite harmful for the project because you will end up with many resources wasted, and that's why it's very important to do the market validation beforehand. And here I would like to tell you that you might think that any of those cases, even if they happen, you can still do some changes and launch your project to the market. And here I would like to cover what things you have to keep in mind to understand why you still think have to do the market validation beforehand. And the first would be time. So you will waste a lot of time on preparing a dream product or a dream MVP, and later it appears that it wasn't a good fit for market. To prevent it, you should act quickly. Launch now with something simpler, with some basic features, and collect the feedback. The second would be money. You also waste a lot of money for time period, whether it's the development of the dream product or other relative costs. So you should spend wisely. Develop a step-by-step approach to understand how you're going to build your product. Find the core and concentrate on this core. I believe that Igor will cover more about this topic, so I can go straight to the third point, that is energy. You also spend a lot of energy on the development and preparation of the product. And when it appears that this product wasn't a good fit for a market, you end up demotivated. And when your team spends so much energy and they turn out to be demotivated, it will be hard to go back on track and continue building. So it's better to just avoid the energy wasting and time wasting and money wasting and start building step by step and collect this feedback to make sure that you are going to the right market. Now I would like to cover a few case studies that can support what I mentioned earlier. And first would be Twitch. Back then it was Justin TV. So it was a live streaming of live of Justin. So they only had one channel, and as you can see, their video quality wasn't ideal back then. And but the team started really small, right? They concentrated on the core. They wanted to try if the market will actually like the project, and maybe even they didn't have any idea of live streaming website back then. Maybe they just started trying it with Justin, but it worked. They saw that the market is actually interested and that they can add more streaming channels to it. And that's how Twitch started appearing. And now we know Twitch with so many different live streams, because our team started really small and had a step-by-step approach. The next would be Airbnb. And here is one of the earliest websites. At that moment, they didn't even have a map where you can see where apartments located. They didn't have any filters or any other options to sort out the apartments. No fancy features. They didn't even have a payment system integrated, and hosts had to take cash. But what Airbnb understood that in order to succeed, they have to build a network of apartment owners of the hosts, and that was the core of their project. It wasn't the development of a website; it was actually their network behind. And they spent some time on developing this network, reaching out to hosts, and that's how Airbnb succeeded. They understood what is the basic things that they need to achieve in order to succeed, and that was the network of the hosts. And later on, they started, of course, do a lot of adjustments to the website, and we can see Airbnb like completely different nowadays. But that supports my point about acting quickly and concentrating on the core of your business. You may know the project Weebly. It's e-commerce and website builder. The project spent 18 months to find the product market fit. It might seem very long, right? And many people might have given up, but the team, they actually put a lot of efforts. They were kept trying and trying until they actually found their market fit. And later on, they were sold for 365 USD, for US dollars million, with 50 million users acquired. So how to be smart with a budget? Again, you should start with the core. You should find the basic feature of your product, like Airbnb did with the hosts network, and start launching. You launch with a small thing. You're going to your target audience and you start the conversation. You talk to them, you ask what they would like to change, if they would like to pay for this solution. You get as much feedback as possible. And then you switch into next step when you analyze this feedback. You try to understand what is wrong with your project or what is wrong with the market you're trying to go, and what other features you have to change or you have to add. And after knowing this, you can continue building. So this should be a continuous ongoing process where you building, talking, and analyzing. And all these three aspects should always come after another one, because you will be building as long as your project on the market. And that's why it's very important to have a conversation with your target audience. So I would like to give you a few tips regarding the market validation. So first of all, will be do your homework. So you need to learn more about your target audience. You need to know more about your target market, where you're going. You need to understand this beforehand, so you know how to approach them, what questions you should ask, and to make sure that you're actually solving a problem on this market. Then you should collect feedback. So you should start having a conversation to validate your idea. you should talk to the people you're gonna sell to. Stay flexible. You never know what's gonna happen. You never know what kind of feedback you're gonna get. So that's why it's very important to be open for changes, because market is changing. There can be different situations. Like these days, we had COVID coming out, and many projects weren't ready for that at all. So stay flexible. Be ready to change and go with the market. Monetize early. It's also important to start monetizing for two reasons. One is, of course, it makes it easier to go through fundraising process, whether you don't even need money, or it makes you more attractive because you're already earning from your project. And second thing would be the feedback from users that are paying is completely different from users that are not paying. And getting a feedback from paid users will be more important for you. So if you can start monetize as early as possible, it will be also good for finding a right product market fit. And don't scale too early. It never helped projects when they start growing from like 5 people to 50 within a year or half a year. It was never a good case. So you should understand that scaling your team, scaling your project also cause a lot of problems in terms of the management, the capacity of your team, because even if you're scaling in a user perspective, if you're like growing from, let's say, 10,000 to 1 million users, you need to make sure that you have enough people to offer customer support. You should have enough people to actually handle all the requests. Of course, at the beginning, maybe you are getting a lot of requests to your email, but that would be impossible if you have thousands of people writing to you every day. So you have to have the systems ready beforehand. That's why it's important to grow organically and scale when you know that you can actually handle this scale. And going to the next step, I would like to summarize everything that I mentioned and cover a step-by-step approach for the market validations that you can keep in mind. And first of all, it's very important to do a preliminary research on your target market and target audience to understand where you're going initially and if the market actually needs your solution. So you should understand what kind of problem you're solving and if this is an important problem. Of course, you might think that your project is so unique, and it might be so unique indeed. But before you go into the market, if there is a problem existing there, people have some alternatives that they used to use before you came to this market. And you need to understand these alternatives, why people use them, and why do they need your project. So the best way would be to find the test market. You can launch in some Reddit community or some university community, depending on your target audience. So you need to make sure that this small community includes your target audience. And you start launching there and you ask people to try your product and provide you feedback. In most of the cases, these people will be happy to help you. So you can collect a lot of feedback and also don't go out too noisy in case you still need to do a lot of changes to your product. So that's why it's important to run the testing. You can choose questionnaire, interview, focus group. There can be many other ways that you can find the best fit for your current project in order to do the testing, to analyze the feedback. And in this way, you can collect as much feedback as possible and actually start learning more about your product. On the next step, you will have to analyze. And I'm not tired to repeat it. You have to analyze, analyze, and analyze. In this way, you can actually know more about the people you are selling to and how this product is actually fitting them. You might see completely different results, and you might end up adding a lot of new features that will be actually valuable, and that can be the game changer for your project. And after all above mentioned were handled, you can finally go and launch. And you will launch with a product that the market need at the market where people need it. So that will be the ideal scenario for your project, and that's the way how you should go. Because if you have our market validated, you eliminate so many difficulties that you can face on the way, and that I mentioned beforehand. And of course, your team will still stay motivated. You will still have enough resources to continue, and you will have enough time to launch actually quicker than if you spend a lot of time on your dream product at the very beginning. So always have a conversation with your target audience, because these are the people you are selling to. You don't make this project for yourself. You're making it for people you're selling to. So why not going and talk to them and ask about this product? I really hope that was useful, and thanks everyone who were listening to me at this moment.